Namaskaram. Welcome back. In this video on STEM, science, technology, engineering and mathematics, today we shall be talking about ancient Indian agriculture. Ancient India was known for its advancement and sustainable agricultural practices, which laid the foundation for one of the oldest and the most prosperous agrarian societies in India. Let's explore the agricultural practices in ancient India. Ancient India was known for its advanced and sustainable agricultural practices, which laid the foundation for one of the oldest and the most prosperous agrarian societies in history. Indian civilization and Indian agriculture dates back to Indus Valley civilization almost 2500 years before the Common Era, which was sophisticated, innovative, and closely connected to the natural environment. Various texts, archaeological evidences, and traditional methods reveal a deep understanding of soil fertility, water management, crop rotation, and biodiversity in ancient India. The very first contribution and understanding of ancient Indians related to farming activities is irrigation and water management. Ancient Indian agricultural systems placed a strong emphasis on efficient water management due to the variability of rainfall in different regions. Farmers used ingenious irrigation techniques, especially in areas where the water resources were very scarce. The Indus Valley civilization demonstrated the early use of canal systems and canal irrigation to irrigate the crops. Channels were dug from rivers to fields, ensuring a regular supply of water. This is practiced particularly advanced in the regions like modern-day Punjab, Gujarat, and even Andhra Pradesh. Tank irrigation was widely participated in southern India. Large tanks were constructed to collect and store rainwater, which was then channeled to fields through sluices. This method allowed agriculture to flourish even in regions with low rainfall. In areas where groundwater was accessible, wells and step wells were dug for irrigation. These were particularly common in semi-arid areas like Rajasthan. The concepts of baulis or the step wells was largely and highly developed, serving both irrigation as well as water storage purposes. In hilly and mountainous regions, ancient Indian farmers used terracing to prevent soil erosion and control water flow. This method allowed cultivation in otherwise unsuitable terrain. Crop rotation and mixed cropping was very well used in the ancient India. Ancient Indian farmers practiced crop rotation and mixed cropping to maintain soil fertility and reduced pest infestations. These techniques ensured that the land remained productive without the need for chemical fertilizers. Crops were rotated according to the seasons and soil conditions. For example, after harvesting a nitrogen depleting crop like wheat or barley, farmers would grow pulses such as lentils and chickpeas, which replenish nitrogen in the soil. This involved planting multiple crops in the same field to maximize yield and minimize the risk of crop failure. For instance, farmers would grow cereals alongside legumes, which provided complementary nutrients and reduced competition for resources. The crop rotation was a regular feature in ancient India. If in the first year malt and barley are planted, in the second year spring wheat were planted, third year potato, and fourth year malt and barley again. This type of crop rotation maintained nitrogen levels in the soil consistently. Ancient Indian agriculture placed a strong emphasis on the use of organic fertilizers to maintain soil health and increase crop yields. Cow dung, compost, and green manure were commonly used to enhance soil fertility. Cow dung was highly valued as a fertilizer, enriching the soil with essential nutrients. In addition, cow urine was sometimes used as a pesticide to protect crops from pests. Organic waste such as leaves, straw, and animal manure was composted and returned to the soil to improve its fertility and structure. Ancient Indian farmers would sometimes plant green manure crops such as sun hemp or cowpea and plow them back into the soil to enhance its nutrient content and organic matter. They had a wonderful understanding of the use of organic fertilizers, vermicompost, green leaf manures, crop rotation, biological management, including animal husbandry, and using biofertilizers and manures increased the use of organic farming in ancient India. The plough, known as langala in Sanskrit, was an essential tool for agriculture. Early Indian farmers used animal drawn ploughs to prepare the soil for planting. Wooden plough was a primary tool in ancient Indian agriculture. It was often pulled by oxen and used to till the soil, break up clods, and create furrows for planting seeds. The design was simple but effective, and variations were adapted based on the region and soil type. By around 1000 before Common Era, iron-tipped ploughs became very common, especially in the regions like the Gangetic Plains. The introduction of iron allowed deeper ploughing and better soil aeration, improving crop productivity. Animals played a significant role in ancient Indian agriculture, not only for ploughing fields but also for transportation, dairy production, and a source of manure. Cattle, particularly oxen, were domesticated and used for ploughing, threshing, and transporting agricultural goods. The cow held a sacred place in Indian culture and was considered essential for sustaining agricultural life. Water buffaloes were commonly used in wheatland farming, especially in rice paddies, where they helped to till the soil and manage waterlogged fields. Goats and sheep were raised not only for their milk and wool, but also for their meat. The diagram shows the animal gangetic resources, especially cattle, all across the country. The agricultural calendar in ancient India was closely linked to the natural rhythms of the seasons and monsoons. Vedic texts such as Atharva Veda and Rig Veda contain references to the agricultural cycle, emphasizing the importance of sowing, irrigation, and harvesting at the right time. Ancient farmers divided their crops into two main types: the Rabi crops during winter and Kharif during summer. Rabi crops included wheat, barley, and peas sown after the monsoons and harvested in the spring, whereas Kharif crops included rice, maize, cotton planted before the monsoons and harvested at the end of the rainy season. Agriculture was closely tied to religious and cultural practices in ancient India, with harvest festivals like Pongal, Makar Sankranti, and Onam celebrated to mark the successful completion of the agricultural cycle. Thus, in ancient India, festivals and agriculture had a close relationship with each other. These are the pictures of Pongal and Onam that is celebrated in South India especially. Ancient Indian texts provided a wealth of knowledge on agricultural techniques, crop selection, soil fertility, and water management. Vriksha Ayurveda, Science of Plants, written by Surapala, is an ancient text dedicated to agriculture and horticulture. It discusses techniques for planting, irrigation, grafting, and soil treatment. It also provides insights into how to increase plant yields and protect them from diseases. Kautilya's Arthashastra, written in 4th century before Common Era, titled as the Arthashastra, contains extensive references to agriculture, including the state's role in promoting farming, irrigation, and land management. It also provides instructions on the organization of farmers, taxation on agricultural products, and state-sponsored irrigation projects. Sanskrit and Vedic texts, especially the Vedas, more so Rigveda and Atharva Veda, contain hymns praising agriculture, rain, and fertility. These texts show the reverence that ancient Indians had for the land and the monsoon cycle, which was vital for successful farming. Ancient India was one of the earliest regions to cultivate rice, Oryza sativa. Archaeological evidences from the sites like Chirand in Bihar, Lothal in Gujarat suggests that rice cultivation was practiced as early as 2000 before Common Era. Wetland rice farming in regions with ample water such as the Gangetic Plains and southern India, wetland rice farming was developed extensively. Rice paddies were irrigated with water from rivers, canals, and rain, as well as water buffaloes were used to plough the muddy fields. Besides staple crops like rice, wheat, and barley, ancient Indian farmers also cultivated a variety of fruits, vegetables, and spices. India's spice trade was famous worldwide. Crops like pepper, cardamom, turmeric, ginger, and cinnamon were cultivated for both domestic use and export. Ancient farmers also grew medicinal herbs that were integral to Ayurvedic medicine. Cotton cultivation was one of the first regions to grow this, and it is India. The Harappans, that is Indus Valley civilization, was pioneers in spinning cotton into textiles, and by 3000 before Common Era, cotton farming had become an important economic activity in ancient India. Ancient Indian agriculture was deeply sustainable and eco-friendly. Farmers practiced techniques that conserved soil fertility, protected biodiversity, and ensured long-term productivity without depleting natural resources. Certain areas of land, such as sacred groves, were set aside and protected to maintain ecological balance in ancient India. The map actually shows the sacred groves across the entire country. These forests were left untouched, and they played a major role to maintain the seeds in the nearby agricultural land. Agriculture was often a community effort in ancient India, with shared resources like water, tools, and labor. In order to maintain the irrigation the community farming helped in having a sustainable and ecological farming practices across the country. So, in ancient Indian agriculture, there was a harmonious blend of technological innovation, sustainable practices, and a deep connection to the nature and preservation of nature. With sophisticated irrigation systems, crop management techniques, organic fertilization, and an understanding of biodiversity, ancient Indian farmers created a resilient and sustainable agricultural system that supported a growing population and fostered economic prosperity. Many of these ancient practices remain relevant even today as examples of sustainable farming methods. Thank you very much for being a part of this beautiful video on ancient Indian agricultural system. See you in the next video. Bye for now. Namaskaram.